Welcome to the Sleepy Underworld, a place where romance blooms, magic sparkles, and timeless fairy tales are reimagined for the dreamers of today. From heart-stirring romances to spellbinding adventures, every story is a soothing escape into a realm of love, wonder, and charm. So curl up, press play, and let us carry you away to the land of dreams. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. We'd love to know in what part of the world you are watching and what is your favorite tip for a good night's sleep. Thank you for watching and enjoy the video. The Lucky Penny. The morning fog rolled through the streets of Cedar Grove, wrapping our small town in its pearl gray embrace. I pressed my forehead against my bedroom window, watching my breath create ephemeral galaxies on the glass. The cold March air seeped through the thin pane, carrying the scent of wet earth and approaching spring. At 18, I had learned more about adult responsibilities than most of my classmates, especially when the stack of unpaid bills on the kitchen counter grew taller than my mother's ever-present coffee cup. My grandfather's words echoed in my mind as I traced frost patterns in the condensation. A real lucky penny finds you when you need it most. How many times had I heard him say that while sitting in his worn leather armchair, the leather cracked and butter soft with age, his eyes twinkling with the magic of possibility. But Grandpa Patrick was gone now, taking with him the scent of pipe tobacco and peppermint, and with him, it seemed, had gone all the luck from our family. In the kitchen, my mother moved quietly, her nurse's scrubs rustling softly as she prepared for another double shift. The familiar sounds of the morning filled the air, the gentle gurgle of the ancient coffee maker, the soft click of pills being counted into my grandmother's weekly organizer, and the muted thud of bills being sorted by urgency. These days, nothing goes to waste in our home. I watched as Mom tucked her hospital ID into her pocket, her hands bearing the dry, cracked skin of someone who washed them 100 times a day. "You'll check on Grandma Rose today?" she asked, her eyes meeting mine in the streaked mirror above the sink. Her smile, though tired, held all the warmth of summer sunshine, and her movements carried the lingering scent of the lavender hand cream she always used, the last bottle from the 3-pack Grandpa had given her before he passed. "Of course, Mom." I hugged her thin frame, breathing in the mingled scents of coffee, antiseptic, and the fabric softener we'd used since I could remember. "I'll make sure she takes her medication and eats lunch. I've got classes until 3, but I'll head straight thereafter." The walk to the community college that St. Patrick's Day morning felt longer than usual. The March wind whispered through bare tree branches, carrying with it the promise of spring and the lingering bite of winter. My boots clicked against the concrete sidewalk, the sound echoing in the quiet morning air. I clutched my worn laptop bag closer, thinking about the partial scholarship that barely covered my tuition, the mounting medical bills from Grandma's last hospital stay, and the way our heat only worked some days now, leaving us to huddle under quilts in the evening. That's when I saw it, a glint of copper against the gray sidewalk, like a star fallen to earth. A penny, lying heads up, gleaming as if it had just been minted. The copper surface caught the weak morning sunlight, sending out a warm glow that called to me. I knelt, my heart beating a little faster, my breath creating small clouds in the chilly air. As my fingers closed around the coin, an unexpected warmth spread through my hand, up my arm, and straight into my chest. The metal felt almost alive against my skin, thrumming with a gentle energy that made my fingertips tingle. "Find a penny, pick it up, and all day long you'll have good luck," I whispered, remembering another of my grandfather's favorite sayings. The penny felt different somehow, special, as if it carried a hint of magic within its copper surface. At the college, the day unfolded differently than usual. In the student center, I noticed Jonathan, a fellow nursing student who always sat alone, his shoulders hunched under the weight of invisible burdens. The fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows across his untouched textbook, and today, his eyes seemed particularly distant, lost in thoughts no 18-year-old should have to carry. Without fully understanding why, I knew what I had to do. I approached his table, the penny growing warmer with each step, my boots silent against the industrial carpet. The student center hummed with its usual morning chaos. The whir of laptops, the murmur of study groups, the hiss of the espresso machine. But at Jonathan's table, silence hung like a heavy curtain. "Hey," I said, sliding into the chair across from him. The plastic seat was cool through my jeans, and I smelled the sharp tang of hospital-grade coffee mixed with the anxiety of upcoming midterms. Jonathan looked up, surprise flickering across his face like sunlight through stained glass. I pulled out the penny and held it out to him. In the fluorescent lighting, the copper glowed with an inner fire. "This is for you. It's lucky, really lucky. I think you need it more than I do today." Jonathan stared at the penny, then at me, confusion in his tired eyes. "Why would you give me something lucky?" "Because sometimes the luckiest thing isn't finding something. It's giving it away." The words came from somewhere deep inside me, sounding more like my grandfather than myself, carrying the same warm wisdom that used to fill his stories on cold winter nights. The next day, Jonathan found me before anatomy class, his face transformed by excitement. "You won't believe what happened. After you gave me the penny, I finally heard back about that hospital internship I applied for months ago. They had an unexpected opening, and they want me to start next week. It's perfect. The schedule works around my classes, and it comes with a small stipend. I was about to drop out, you know. I couldn't figure out how to keep paying for school." Over the next few weeks, I watched as the penny made its way through the college, leaving little trails of magic in its wake. Jonathan gave it to Professor Moore when her wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. They caught it early, stage 1, completely treatable. Professor Moore passed it to Maria in the financial aid office, whose son had been struggling with depression. He finally agreed to see a counselor and was slowly finding his way back to health. The penny continued its journey, creating ripples of good fortune wherever it went. A lost research paper reappeared moments before its deadline. A broken friendship mended over shared memories and forgiveness. A struggling student finally mastered the complex calculations that had been standing between them and their engineering degree. Each time I heard about another penny miracle, I thought of my grandfather and his believing eyes, the way they would crinkle at the corners when he smiled. Maybe luck wasn't about finding money or winning prizes. Maybe luck was something you created by opening your heart to others, like opening a window and letting in the spring breeze. One evening, as spring finally painted the world in soft greens and pinks, the cherry trees releasing their petals to dance on the wind, I came home to find my mother sitting at the kitchen table with Grandma Rose. For the first time in months, both their faces held no worry lines, and their smiles reached their eyes, which sparkled like morning dew on the grass. "Sweetheart," my mother said, patting the chair beside her. The wooden seat was worn smooth from years of family dinners, comfortable as an old friend. "Remember Dr. Sullivan, the head of neurology at the hospital? He came by my station today during rounds. While I was updating him on a patient, we got to talking about you and your nursing studies. It turns out they're expanding their nurse training program, and they're offering full scholarships to promising students who commit to working at the hospital after graduation." She took a deep breath, her eyes shining. "They want to offer you one of the spots. Full tuition, books, everything." My heart soared as I hugged them both, breathing in the familiar scent of hospital antiseptic and hope. "That's incredible. It's like luck finally found us," Grandma Rose finished, laughing softly. "You know what's funny? When Dr. Sullivan was leaving, he dropped a penny. When your mother tried to give it back to him, he just smiled and said we should keep it. that it looked like a lucky one. My eyes widened as my mother pulled out a familiar copper penny from her pocket. It gleamed in the evening light, looking exactly as it had that misty morning when I first found it, still carrying that same mysterious warmth. Later that night, as I sat by Grandma Rose's bed, helping her arrange her pillows just the way she liked them, she took my hand in hers. Her skin felt like tissue paper, but her grip was strong. "Your grandfather would be so proud of you, dear one," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "He always said that real luck finds you when you need it most. But you've discovered something even more precious. You've learned that real luck isn't something you find. It's something you create every time you choose love over fear." As I held her hand, watching as she drifted off to sleep, her breath evening out into the gentle rhythm of dreams, I thought about all the paths the penny had traveled. From me to Jonathan, from Jonathan to Professor Moore, from Professor Moore to Maria, and on, until it somehow found its way back to my family when we needed it most. I thought about how luck wasn't really about pennies at all. It was about the courage to reach out to someone drowning in silence, the kindness to share what you have, even when your own pockets feel empty, the wisdom to see that every small act of generosity creates ripples of good fortune that touch countless lives. Years later, long after I had graduated and become a nurse practitioner, working alongside my mother in the same hospital where she had started as a young nurse, people in Cedar Grove would sometimes talk about the mysterious lucky penny that seemed to appear exactly when someone needed it most. They said it carried a special warmth, and that good fortune followed wherever it went. On the day I finally earned my doctorate in nursing practice, I found myself back in Grandpa Patrick's study, now preserved exactly as he had left it. The leather armchair still held the impression of his presence, and if I closed my eyes, I could almost smell the lingering traces of pipe tobacco and peppermint. As I stood there, holding my diploma, a glint of copper caught my eye from the depths of the chair's cushion. With trembling fingers, I reached down and pulled out a penny, warm to the touch as if it had been held in someone's hand just moments before. And there, in the fading light of evening, I could have sworn I heard my grandfather's gentle laugh, felt the brush of his hand against my cheek, and understood at last that the greatest luck of all was the love that connected hearts across time, space, and even the thin veil between this world and the next. That night, as I placed the penny on my grandfather's old desk, I smiled, knowing that its journey wasn't over. It was just waiting for the next person who needed a reminder that magic still existed in the world and that sometimes the most powerful kind of luck is the kind you give away.